Let's start off with the question. You had a meeting with the president and the minister, I understand, last night. What was the outcome?
First of all, let me just correct that. We requested a meeting with the minister. The minister was unable to be there, and so the DG was there together with all the DDGs. And the purpose of the meeting was, of course, we wanted to know exactly where we are going, given the input that the president had made on Monday, where when it came to schooling, he was very ambivalent. He wasn't pointed, saying, yes, schools are opening on this day. We know we have a date for schools to reopen. And of course, he mentioned that there will be discussions in this coming week, reflecting on when schools are opening. And that is what we essentially wanted to speak about. But even more importantly, the readiness for that. Is the system ready? Are the provincial departments ready? Because we are hearing rumors in the wind about certain provinces not having budgets for PPEs and the like. And remembering that just for masks, for the new learners, you need more than 1 million masks for the new learners coming in. And I don't think one can expect that your average learner who got masks 6 or 7 months ago will still have the 2 masks. So you are looking probably at about 26 million masks. And that's a huge ask. So these were the issues. Besides that, also curriculum-based issues, etc. However, the meeting eventually just spoke about the reopening of schools. And we put on the table our particular concerns, that we are for the opening of schools, provided that all the other measures are in place, both the non-pharmaceutical interventions, as well as, of course, the guidance that we must take from the science people, the people who know what the virus is doing, or know more than what we know. And we saw that the day before yesterday, Professor Karim had expressed concern about the opening of schools. And we highlighted this. And of course, the DG acknowledged that, and he agreed that the medical advisors had already advised that it may not be a good idea to open schools on the 25th for teachers and the 27th for learners. Having said that, we then want to know, so what is education's decision? What are we doing? And so this was the consultative process. Today, the National Corona Command Council will meet, and they will take advice. And the advice that we have is that we support the fact that the WHO is saying, if you are at the peak, schools should ideally be closed for a minimum period of about 2 weeks, simply because your teachers are members of the broader community. Your teachers are already infected, and they would go into schools infected and spread the infection to those who are not infected. And simply because so many people don't know when they have the virus until it is actually a little too late, and they are already now ill. So we don't know exactly how long schools will be closed for, but that is the advice that we supported. It will be up to the scientists and, of course, the Command Council on the advice of the DG to say what the length of closure would be. But I want to stress as Naptosa that we want to be safe, and this is part of the safety measures. Thereafter, we must get back to school. When the peak of the pandemic has passed, or this wave has passed, then we must get back to school, because we have an enormous mountain to climb ahead of us.
So do I understand correctly? It is in the pipeline at the moment. Schools might not open the 27th of January, but there is consideration to open it 2 or 3 weeks later from now on.
And based on the advice from the scientists, yes.
Um, Close to 2,000 teachers have already died from the virus, whilst not at school. But you have also just pointed out that they are part of the community, and that is where the bigger problem is, returning to school.
Absolutely. And that is our concern. Look, we don't have exact figures, and the figures are varying between 1,750 and 2,000. We believe it's closer to 2,000 that have now succumbed to the virus. There's an untold number that have been infected. We don't know how many have been, and that further complicates things. And yes, we know that in every single community now, people know of people who are infected with the virus. People even know of people who have passed on because of the virus, which is very different to the first wave. In the first wave, these were numbers somewhere, and now they are becoming real people that we know. And that, of course, creates an enormous amount of stress and strain for teachers. Just the very thought of going back into an environment where you don't know where the other people have been. You can account for yourself. Everybody claims they've been safe, but have they been? Secondly, our high school teachers are going into high schools, where we've seen that the infection rates of our youth have suddenly increased quite a bit. And that has to do with youth behavior. But it also has to do with the fact that the virus is now different, that where children were not infected so much before, we are seeing many more infections in children. And you can imagine being in a class or being surrounded by a few hundred children that are potential carriers, what that can do to your psychological health. And so there are real worries and concerns out there.
Do you have an ideal date as Naptosa for the reopening of the schools?
No, in fact, we don't. And primarily because when it comes to the issues of the pandemic, we are not the experts. We can simply say, we see you are not ready, so we will not support an opening, and we will support a delay in opening. However, even the Department of Education, the DBE, cannot be pinning a date on. They have to consult the science people, and they must lead us in this, because they will be able to give us a guesstimate, because even for them, it's not 100% science, when it would be safer. But even the Premier of Gauteng now the other day indicated that he's concerned that schools were going to go back when Gauteng is expected to be peaking. And so that is why, as Naptosa, we have supported the idea to say, let's have a delay. And we've left the decision of the length of the delay to the science people to advise the DBE. And we will then support.